Why don't you go ahead, Linda, and get started?
Sure. Hello, and welcome to Unity of Fredericksburg. My name is Linda, and I'm pleased to welcome all of you to the Unity of Fredericksburg weekly online gathering. At Unity of Fredericksburg, we are advancing the movement of spiritual awakening and transformation through unity, a positive path for spiritual living. We thank those of you watching on YouTube, live or later, and invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're able to attend live, we encourage you to join us in the Zoom community room for the full Sunday morning experience, including music, prayer, and connection. Our weekly newsletter includes the Sunday service link, and you can subscribe to receive that on our website at uofva.org. For everyone local to Central Virginia, Unity of Fredericksburg offers a variety of fun and enriching in-person gatherings every month. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter at uofva.org for all the details. Our message and meditation today comes from Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson, an ordained Centers for Spiritual Living minister, author, and founding spiritual director of the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts. Reverend Ray teaches spirituality as something to be lived, practiced, and experienced, not only believed or discussed. His work bridges spiritual principles with everyday life through a structured and practical approach. He is a published author, spiritual life coach, counselor, and workshop facilitator. We are delighted to have Reverend Raymont with us today. And now, here's Reverend Ray.
Am I back? Okay. Whew, the internet. Yeah, whew. Okay, so breathe, breathe, breathe. Okay, so let us begin. Hello and happy spring. Blessed new beginnings, Unity of Fredericksburg. So, what is this? Two Sundays in a row. Lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. So, for those of you who were here last Sunday, you know that we talked about several different things regarding activating our faith, evidence, trust, and manifesting a more life affirming life for ourselves and for the world. I gave you an acronym last week. So at the end of today's message, there will be a quiz and there's a no, I'm joking. But I gave you an acronym last week. So this week I'm going to give you a new one for faith, and then we're going to jump in because it's going to set us up for today's discussion. So are you ready? Are you sure? Okay, so the acronym faith, fear less, action, initiating true healing. Fearless action initiating true healing. Now keep this in mind as we go into this age-old question that we are going to unpack. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Which came first? Now pause, because the answer is going to shock you. You ready for the answer? The answer is the creative idea came first, not the chicken or the egg. And there is a major reason why, right there. The answer is the major reason why we very often do not consciously manifest the way that we desire to manifest, but rather we continue to manifest based upon the default setting of our manifesting. There's always an alignment, right? Like someone can be aligned with, oh, woe is me, aligned with lack and scarcity. They're in alignment with that. or they can be in alignment with abundance and prosperity and joy. There's always alignment with something. So we're always creating, we're always manifesting. But are we manifesting from the alignment of, for dost thou not know, oh, the woe and the me and the, or are we manifesting from the I am that I am? I recognize and realize that God is all there is, and what it is I must be. What are we manifesting from? Breathe. So let's take a metaphysical look at Genesis chapter 1, verses, let's say 3 through 5. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw that the light was good. And then God separated the light from the darkness and called the light day and called the darkness night. And that was evening, and there was morning, and that was the first day. God said, let there be light. And before there is any manifestation in what we call our physical existence of space and time, there must be a divine idea first. So prior to God said, there would have to be God had an idea. God knew. And then God created. The idea comes first. So the chicken or the egg riddle is a cool mental exercise, much like the philosophical contradictory one that asks, if God can do all things, can God create a stone that even God cannot move? It's a great exercise in critical thinking, twisting the Rubik's Cube of consciousness. But many of us stop there. We stop with but I'm uncomfortable asking such questions. I don't like that. And so we stop, and then we continue to manifest from our default setting. So when we're talking about this idea of chicken or egg, idea and then manifestation, what we're actually talking about is karma. And not the way that many of us use the word in terms of reaping the effects from a previous life or previous lifetimes. And, in my former life, I was a very bad person. And that's why in this life, I'm working through my karma so that I can reach nirvana and blah, blah, blah. We're not talking about that kind of karma. We're referring to it more of the way we do typically in New Thought, which is more akin to the actual etymology of it, which simply means cause. And that's what the chicken and the egg riddle is pointing us into, a deeper look into cause and effect. And even that, let's ask it this way, which one of these have you heard more frequently? Cause and effect, effect and cause. I've heard cause and effect and said cause and effect far more frequently than effect and cause. But why? The vast majority of us remain focused on the cause in a way and to such a degree that we actually impede the creative energy needed to manifest. Because what we equate with cause or what we equate with effect traps us in this space of, wait a minute, my cause, the thing that is causing me to have what I want is money. Money's not a cause. Money is a tangible thing. Money is an effect. Oh, the staff. I need staff and I need volunteers. That's physical. That's tangible. That's not a cause. Oh, I need a business plan. It's tangible. So wait a minute. So a building, tangible. Equipment, tangible. So none of that is cause. All of that is effect. So if we want to manifest more effectively, then we need to understand, as Dr. Ernest Holmes said, cause and effect. All causes are invisible. All effects are the result of the invisible taking temporary form. Cause must have an effect. If there were no effect, there could be no cause. So cause is what occurs before anything is created or made manifest or experienced physically. Something in effect is experienced by the five senses. I can hear it, touch it, taste it. It's five senses. Cause cannot. As Charles Fillmore said, ideas have no physical dimensions. Ideas, the creative blueprint, our thought of anything creates a spiritual prototype of that thing. In the realm of spirit, in the realm of the divine, that thing is. It's not tangible. It's in the space of consciousness and ideas, but it creates the blueprint, it creates the prototype. And from that idea, we then manifest accordingly. Breathe. So, do we know how clearly we desire to experience a thing? Because the clearer we are with what we want to experience, effect, then we reverse engineer it and come up with, okay, so what ideas must I have in my mind, in my mental equivalent? What must be the mental blueprint, the spiritual prototype of this experience? Remember last week I shared, Eric Butterworth said, creation is not something that God does or something that God did. Creation is what God is, and creation is what you are. So, how do we create? How do we create this idea, this image, this prototype? Well, as Emma Curtis Hopkins said, imagination is the faculty by which we picture the good we desire. Are we using our imagination effectively? Or are we using our imagination to what if worst case scenarios? Esther or Estelle Frankel says, one of the essential tools of faith is imagination. Every journey into the unknown requires imagination, which is the ability to see things that are not yet visible, tangible, or manifest yet. So when we think of the unity principles, so I think it. We create our life experiences through our thoughts, through our mental equivalents, through that idea that has a spiritual prototype. Because we are not simply co-creators with God, we are creation itself as God is. Which means I pray it. Through what we refer to as affirmative prayer and meditation, we align our hearts, our minds, our bodies, our actions with the truth of what God is to bring that good into our lives. And then we live it. Because we understand that it is not simply enough to understand in our mind these principles, but we must live them, practice them, demonstrate them, moment by moment. So, how much goodness, how much life, how much joy can you imagine for yourself? How much love, how much joy, how much, oh my, can you imagine for those you love and for the world? Because that's the vision. If I cannot hold the vision of love and joy and peace and peacefulness and harmony and food for all and homes for all and healthcare for all and effective education for all, etc., then what is the idea? What is the imagination? What is the spiritual prototype that I am creating? Because even the spiritual prototype of the atomic bomb that Oppenheimer had the idea, the imagination, the vision, spiritual prototype created, to which someone decided to then drop on Japan. breathe. Because this whole idea of cause and effect, it is very important for us to keep in mind that there is always and always and always a series of prior. So if we were to pause and think for a moment, what had to happen for each of us to be present right here, right now? Depending on how we want to, approach the situation, we could say, well, we had to have parents. Our parents had to have had parents who had parents. Well, our parents had to have, and their parents had to have been people who had parents who had to meet. And then there had to be circumstances and situations that were, my mom met my dad at a coffee shop. Well, there had to be a coffee shop, which means that person had to have the idea, I want to create a coffee shop. And that coffee shop is the place where they met over coffee, which means who invented coffee? Well, someone had to have the idea to invent coffee, for this person to have the idea to have a coffee shop, to then sell coffee, for them to desire to drink coffee, to go at the same time on the same day and be in the same line. See, there's always and always and always and always, and there will always be more. Which God is, has no beginning and has no end. So the more we anchor into well, what does it mean? To what am I now setting into motion? How are my conversations setting into motion a new trajectory of love and peace and harmony and joy and healing? How is my being present creating the atmosphere by which love fills the space? How am I, through my ideas, through my spiritual prototype, how am I as creation now creating? Breathe. In chapter 3, Prayer, Myrtle Fillmore's Healing Letters, she says, prayer, then, is to change our minds and hearts so that I'll use her words. Ray was getting ready to do a Ray remix. So our hearts, so that God's omnipresent good may fill our minds and fill our hearts and manifest in our lives. If we do not keep on thinking in accord with the prayers we have made, then we will not get good results. She's saying stay in alignment with the thing you are praying for. Stay in alignment with the thing you are speaking. For all thought is formative. All thought has its effect in our lives. When some of our thought energy is expended in negative beliefs and negative feelings, and we show that we have this old mental habit in the subconscious mind, we get those old negative results, even though and even when we are praying daily and when others are praying for us. In other words, we must shift and be in alignment. What is the effect that we desire to experience? How clearly do we see it in mind? How clearly do we feel it in heart? How resonant are we with it? How resonant are we as it? To such a degree that it's not just our thoughts, it's not just what we feel, because I can't see what Linda is thinking and I can't see what Linda is feeling. I don't know what Blessing is thinking or feeling. I don't know what Chris is thinking or feeling. I can only go by what I see them doing. And likewise, they for me. So the question is, am I doing love and joy and peace? Am I doing the omnipotent power of the universe itself? Omnipotence demonstrating through the all power, the all love, the all wisdom, the all creative energy. Am I doing it, living as it? Am I putting the space for the causative to now create a new effect. Where war was once a thing, now war is extinct and peace on earth, goodwill to all, is the new effect based upon a new causative idea, imagined strongly, aligned as the spiritual prototype, that my thoughts, my words, my emotions and feelings, and my actions demonstrate this and bring it into fruition. I live my amen. Breathe. And let's enter into that infinite and absolute space that we refer to as meditation. Being reminded, as Frederick Douglass once said, a person is worked upon by what they work on. The person may carve out their circumstances, but their circumstances will then carve them out as well. So we meditate, and the meditation meditates back to us. As we meditate, the meditation changes us. As we pray, prayer changes us. And so we breathe and enter into the silence. And as we continue to breathe, we breathe from the awareness and the consciousness of the passage I spoke from Genesis. And God said, the divine idea was made manifest. And so when any of us say, with our thoughts, our words, and our actions, we are the very power and presence. We are creation itself. So what we say manifests. So I speak this now, knowing that this infinite power and this infinite presence envelops us, moves through us, supports us, and expresses itself as us. And in doing so, all of the love we need is present. All of the support we need is present. All of the comfort we need is present. All of the finances we need, present. All that we need, all that we desire, present. And so we breathe, not just into that space, but from that space as well. Just as Yeshua said, I and the Father, I and that which is the all that is. And we breathe. And as we are ready, we come back to the room, to each other with love and joy, and we fairly sizzle and spring forth and do what is ours to do. And so it is.
Thanks so much, Reverend Ray. And thanks for watching the weekly broadcast from Unity of Fredericksburg. Visit our website, uofva.org, to learn more about our mission of spiritual awakening and transformation, and support our ministry with your financial donation. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time.